You're watching PowerNation. Today, we're conquering a different kind of terrain as we get our hands on a brand new truck and shape it into a one-of-a-kind concept.
That's right. We're getting our hands on all the best Nismo gizmos to get our new rig off-road ready and lay the groundwork for some modifications that you have never seen before. All that and more today on Music City Trucks.
Nothing cooler than an old pickup, am I right?
Underneath all this dirt, there's probably a pretty good truck.
Today, we are starting literally a brand new project, that of which you have never seen before, and we're going to build it in a way that's never been built before. Sure, it's going to have the off-road recipe of big tires and wheels, lift kit, few bolt-on go-fasters, but that is just the beginning.
Oh yeah, we here at Music City Trucks are no strangers to all types of off-road rigs from mild to wild, but this one is going to present some unique challenges that are going to have us building on a whole new frontier. Specifically, this 2025 Nissan Frontier Pro 4X. The Nissan Frontier was introduced as a replacement for the Nissan hardbody truck in the US market in 1997. It was designed to be a more modern and versatile vehicle compared to its predecessor. Initially, it was known for its robust build and off-road capabilities, and it was available in both 2-door and 4-door configurations with a range of engine options, including a 2.4-liter inline-4 and a 3.3-liter V6.
You could also get it with a 5-speed manual transmission or as a 4-speed automatic. The new 2025 Frontier is boldly going where it's never gone before, with Nissan unveiling major updates, including a redesigned exterior and a host of modern technology features. These updates include more advanced safety systems, improved interior quality, and updated infotainment options. And what we've got our hands on here at Music City Trucks has literally just rolled right off the assembly line. Now, since our friends at Nissan are right up the road right here in Music City, this isn't the first time that we've helped them come up with a one-of-a-kind off-road rig. PowerNation and Nissan have teamed up before to build a pretty cool off-road rig in the past. The 2017 Nissan Envy Cargo X. That thing stood 7.5 feet tall, had 35-inch tires, and was powered by a 5.0-liter Cummins turbo diesel V8. We took that one-of-a-kind off-road rig on a few dusty trails in Arizona's National Forest. But for our build, we're not going to go quite that extreme, but it's going to be equally unique in mind. And now, we've once again teamed up with Nissan to revolutionize the way you spend your leisure time, whether it's off-roading on a dusty trail with your buddies, or kicking back, grilling out, tailgating on game day.
But what if you wanted to do both at the same time? Well, when we get done with this truck, you'll be able to trailblaze all day and tailgate all night in this project that we're dubbing the Nissan Trailgater.
The Pro 4X has always been known for its off-road prowess. It comes with off-road tires, skid plates, and even a locking rear differential. Those trucks are often praised for the versatility, which makes them popular amongst blue-collar guys and even weekend warriors. With a 3.8-liter V6 pushing 310 horsepower, along with some off-road performance shock absorbers, this Frontier literally comes out of the box to overcome any terrain you may encounter, along with all the necessary components to add on all the cool extras you may need to build your perfect trailgating truck. And this collection of Nismo parts you see spread out across the floor is just phase one of this build, including performance exhaust, running boards, eye-blazing off-road lights, and some all-terrain tires that are going to complete the ensemble of one mean green off-road machine.
For phase two of this project, we're going to bed, or going to town on the bed. Back here, we're going to install our cooking station, not one, but 2 TVs, a sound system, everything you need to tailgate like a true fan.
And finally, we're ripping out the back seat of this thing and adding a few kitchen appliances, including a refrigerator, slide-out drawer, maybe a coffee maker or two if there's time.
But there's a lot of steps in the way before we get to that point, and the first one of those is to get this up on the lift, get it tore down.
Well guys, we are ready to kick off our Nissan Trailgater build by initiating phase one. Gonna get these tires and wheels off and see what we can do about lifting this thing's spirits. Don't think I'd ever make it on a NASCAR team. Come on, big guy. There we go. A mistake a lot of guys make when they're putting in their first lift kit is not realizing that you need longer brake lines to make up for that extra height. We didn't run into that issue on this project, but it's just always something to keep in mind. And take a look at that. That is a sharp looking assembly right there. It's gonna give us a little bit extra ride height, nice aggressive stance, probably a much smoother ride too. Let's go ahead and get the rest of this stuff put back together. Now this right here is one of the first rookie mistakes a lot of guys make when they're doing their first lift kit. You gotta realize that your brake lines only got so much length to them, so just make sure you hang them up, or you take your caliper completely off, or whatever you gotta do, because you don't want to tear that hose. Like Tina Turner used to say, be good to me. All right, I got just a couple more things to button up, then I'm gonna kick over to the other side. While I do that, Eric's gotta tackle the rear. Coming up, we do a sound check and add some rumble to our exhaust.
Now, just like Joel did up front, we're going to be replacing our shocks here in the back. Not that there's anything wrong with these ones that came from the factory, but we definitely need to give them an upgrade with what we plan on doing to this truck. Overall, this is just a common sense upgrade that is super easy because it came straight out of the Nismo catalog, so you know for sure it's going to bolt right in. Let's get them installed. Go. Now I did leave the band on because generally when you put new shocks on, that band will actually hold that shock tight enough for you to get the top end put on, and then you can cut that tie and the bottom will just slide itself into place. But in this case, since these shocks are meant for a slightly raised ride height, they're already a little bit longer than the factory mounting, with the rear end at full droop. Now here's something I just noticed that I really got to give props to Nissan for, and that is these lower shock bolts, the threads actually don't go all the way through. So if you need to give them a tap to get them in or out, you really don't have to worry about messing up your threads, and that is pretty smart if you ask me. And the next step is to get our remote reservoirs mounted to the body of the main shock. And what we're going to do that with is these brackets that come along with the kit. Now, when mounting your remote reservoir, you want to make sure that you've got clearance. So we're going to put this around the inside where it's safest. And once you get that second bolt in, don't forget to pull your first one back out and put some thread locker on that too. All right, call that good. We've got our first shock installed, so it's time to get the other side done, torque everything, call it good.
As a lot of you know, there are many benefits to adding a performance exhaust system to your ride. Increased airflow usually means better performance, cooler sound, and a lot of times improved fuel economy. And when we first rolled this thing in here, one of the first things we had to do, just like a couple of kids with a brand new toy, is fire this thing up and give it a couple bumps with the throttle. Now the exhaust that's on this Frontier is perfect for a daily driver and it's got a nice clean sound. But for what we want to do to this thing, we want a little bit more performance, all the meanwhile remaining 50 state compliant.
Beside the fact that this is a brand new truck, the way this exhaust system is designed in here actually makes it really easy to get out. I've definitely had worse times than this, pulling exhausts out.
Now our stock exhaust system had two separate pipes going off the collectors and then into the muffler. But what this system does is consolidate all that into a white pipe. And what that does is cut down on all your restrictions on your airflow, and it also gives you that little bit of reverberating sound for that, you know, cool factor. Hello, friend.
And the last one.
By far, one of the best features of this exhaust is the fact that you don't need a welder. It literally just bolts into place at the factory setup. And it even comes with all the hardware you need for an easy installation, and the sound is going to give your truck a whole different personality.
Up next, we rack up a few accessories and shed some light on Project Trailgater.
We got big plans to outfit our Frontier with anything and everything that you and your friends are going to need for when you're out trailgating. One of the most popular accessories a lot of you guys like to install on your rig is a roof rack. And honestly, when you consider all the benefits involved, I can kind of see why. Whether you're hauling hunting and camping gear, recovery equipment, or anything and everything you're going to need to outfit for a tailgate party, these things are super handy to have around. However, depending on what manufacturer you're working with, these things can get a bit invasive, meaning you gotta drill some holes. But luckily, the guys at Nismo have designed this setup specifically to more of a clamp style, so no drilling required. And with a few basic hand tools, you can knock this out in no time. This D41 Frontier roof rack is made from weather-resistant black powder-coated aluminum, so it's super robust, insanely light, and makes it to where it's an installation you could literally do on your own with just a few tools you got in your drawer. The no-drill application utilizes door jamb clamps, giving you extremely rigid and secure vehicle mounting. With this roof and bed rack, we're going to be able to install whatever we dang well please. We're going to be throwing everything and maybe even the kitchen sink at this project once it's all said and done. This is one of my many vices. Now you may have noticed I extended our table out a little bit more. That's because you need a nice level platform while you're assembling this, because you want everything straight. That way it sits on the truck nice and straight, doesn't bounce loose down the highway when you're out trailgating about. Does it look centered?
We'll definitely have to measure it still, I think. Yeah, that's looking pretty close. We can measure it once we get all the rest of the hardware started on here.
Yeah, for what, hours worth of work?
If that. And honestly, it's not nearly as heavy as I would have expected for, I mean, it looks heavy duty and it feels heavy duty, but
Yeah, she's sturdy, man.
definitely not heavy. That's nice. That's always a huge plus.
Or drilling holes.
Exactly. Well, it's not quite as light as the roof rack, but definitely a lot lighter than it looks.
More awkward than heavy,
Yeah.
like me. Okay, yeah, that's about center of the wheel well there. It's about the same height as the roof rack too, a little bit shorter, but
Perfect.
looks good.
Now, just like the roof rack, this thing is heavy duty, lightweight, and it installs with no cutting or drilling directly into the factory equipped Utilitrack system right here. But like you probably guessed, this isn't the only thing that Nismo makes that can bolt into these tracks. This is a super versatile system, and the brackets to bolt things in look like this. It's just a little rectangle with a couple of carriage bolts run through it that allows you to bolt things in. Now, with as simple as this system is, if you felt like fabricating your own mounts for something you might not be able to find on the aftermarket, well, this track gives you a great base to build on.
All right, tight on your side?
Yeah, looking pretty good over here. Whoa.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you're shaking the whole thing from inside of the bed. I'd say that's on there pretty good.
Yeah.
Double check these up here real quick.
It's a pretty solid setup.
Oh yeah. Now, one of the most common things that you're gonna see on any type of off-road build is gonna be extra lighting. And with 1,001 different types of lights out there and 1,000,001 different places to put them, how do you decide which setup is right for you? At the base of a lighting setup, you've gotta remember what it is you're gonna be using your truck for. Now, in our case with this Nissan, we wanna be able to see all around this truck all the time. With that in mind, we called up the guys over at Nismo and had them send us this assortment that you see on the table in front of me. We've got these 6-inch round driving lights that are gonna go up on top of the roof rack, 4-inch round lights that are gonna sit on these Nismo brackets right at the base of the A-pillars, and these square fog lights that are gonna go out back. Now I'm gonna get this last driving light set up, then we'll start our install. Well, I hope at the end of the day this makes its predecessor, you know, the old Patrol, hope it makes that proud, because that's one of the baddest off-road rigs I've ever seen. All right.
Dueling measuring tapes.
This town ain't big enough for the both of us. So I guess
Mine's metric anyway.
Oh yeah. Whoa. Oh yeah.
Heck yeah, she's starting to look like a real deal off-road truck. Let's go ahead and throw those A-pillar lights on.
Oh, you got a nice big tool tray up front there.
Right, that's mighty handy. This new Nissan's got everything.
All right, nice.
Oh yeah, installed.
Looking a little bit more serious now.
That's an off-road rig if I've ever seen one. Coming up, we get hitched and slap on a new pair of shoes to complete our off-road ensemble. If you're the kind of person that's into this build so far, there's a pretty good chance you've got a couple of toys. Whether it's a boat, maybe a UTV, a dirt bike, all of those things require one thing, a trailer. What does every trailer need? A receiver hitch. And we got a couple other recreational activities in mind for this truck and this receiver hitch that we're going to get into a little bit later. And the first step in this installation process is going to seem a bit unorthodox, but as per the Nissan installation manual, it is a necessary part of the process. Now on the back side of our bumper, we've got a little bit of a keyhole that's going to work as our guide to where we need to cut the bumper out in order to fit our trailer plug in. Now I'm going to drill this thing out with a pilot hole first and then come back over with a panel saw and cut it the rest of the way out. One of the easiest techniques I find for cutting these kinds of things out is start by making your way to each of the corners and then kind of follow it along about 1/8 of an inch to the inside edge of the perimeter. This little guy just slides right into place. Perfect. And the next step is our pigtail harness, and this thing just plugs directly into the back, and then you got 2 more pigtail plug-ins on the inside of your frame. Can be any easier than that. Well, the only thing you really need to check is that you've got clean connections and tuck in your wires to make sure they don't get pinched. Could tell you a pretty good wire joke here, but I don't want to shock you. Try to stay grounded here on Music City trucks. Appreciate the help, man. Didn't mean to wake you up from your nap.
That's all right, I'll get back to it once we're done here. I might need a nap after what we got coming next.
Right?
I got a feeling that we're gonna be wheelie tired after that. Oh, come on.
As is life.
You got it from here?
Yes, sir. Appreciate it, bud.
All right.
All right, looks like she's nice and solid there. Last thing we got to plug in is this little pigtail harness that goes up underneath that dash. Once that's in, we're done. For the icing on the cake on Project Trailgater, we're going to be installing these Yokohama Geolander MTs measuring at 275 70R17s. It's going to give us a little more tread depth, a little more height, and give us that off-road sinister look that we've been looking for.
You might notice that the tires aren't the only upgrade that we're making here. These are brand new wheels from Nismo that are freshly designed and new on the market that can be run as regular wheels or as a true beadlock like we've got them set up here. We're also replacing our factory lug nuts with Nismo's heavy-duty open-end forged lug nuts. That's just gonna make sure that we don't have to worry about one of these things coming off.
Well guys, phase 1 on Project Trailgater is officially complete, and this thing is a prime example of little details making big changes. The best part is, if you got one of these trucks at home, all these Nismo parts bolt right to it.
And now that we're done finding Nismo for all of our off-road stuff, we get to move on to all of our tailgating accessories. Fridge, TVs, and some other cool things we've got planned.
Yeah, we're calling it a day for now, but you're going to want to stay tuned for the next episode because that is when we're really going to get this party started.
Why wait?
Pre-game, baby.